You know, Marvel has their What If series, so maybe someday there will be a Walking Dead What If series, and we can see that play out. I would love that.
Hello everyone, Lytro Storm here, and today we're back with more What If Dale Survived. This will be part 4, so check out the rest of the series with both the link in the description and comment section. But as a short recap of the last part, Dale went with Glenn and Tara after the prison fell, they met Abraham, and Dale convinced everyone not to kill the dudes from Terminus. This made Sasha mad, so Dale didn't try and go to save Beth, and instead stayed to help Gabriel with his struggle of adapting to the world. And that's the quick summary, so now let's go ahead and get into the video. But first, if you enjoy, don't forget to subscribe, and always be sure to join my Discord and follow me on Twitter. Links in the description. So following where we left off last time with the mid-season finale, the group would split, with Rick, Glenn, Michonne, Tyrese, and Dale going with Noah to see if the old community is still alive. Turns out, it's not, and so they check for supplies instead. The difference here is that Dale is there, so he'd want to stick with Noah, as the whole reason he went was to try and help Noah. He couldn't really save Herschel, and couldn't try to save his daughter, so the closest thing he can get to doing that for either of them is to help her friend. While Tyrese is looking at pictures and Noah is somewhere else in his house, Dale would find Noah's twin brothers as walkers. This would be a shocking sight to him, as it was 2 kids. They hadn't really seen too many kid walkers before, so he would be caught a bit off guard. However, he would keep his composure, yelling for help and stabbing the first one. Tyrese and Noah would then show up as the other one attacked Dale, and Tyrese would use his hammer to kill it. Dale apologizes for causing such a scene, as he didn't expect to see such an awful thing. He also apologized to Noah since the 2 kids were his brothers. Luckily though, in case you didn't notice, Tyrese lives. And so the group continues walking back to the others, and the next episode would begin. The whole group is just walking that whole episode, with Sasha being super emotional, but she wouldn't be since Tyrese is alive. When the pack of dogs attacks and Sasha kills them, I think Dale would have a look on his face like, oh, I know what's about to happen and I don't like it, and then it cuts to them eating the dogs. The group would then push through to the barn, where they would have to hold back some walkers during the storm. But following into the next day, Sasha and Maggie went out and found Aaron, and that whole thing with Rick being paranoid would still occur, so once everyone else leaves, Dale would stay in the barn with Rick, Judith, and Aaron instead. Rick would be trying to force Aaron to eat the applesauce to make sure it isn't poisoned, and Aaron would say that he hates applesauce, so instead of letting him be forced to eat it, Dale would, since he basically could tell this person wasn't a bad guy. Rick would then feed it to Judith, and the rest of the group would return later. When Rick goes against what Aaron says about taking the safe road, Dale would tell him that it's not a smart idea. Everyone else agrees with him, and Rick would say that if anything happens, it would be on him. Luckily though, this means Dale gets to drive the new RV, so let's go! Some bad stuff does happen like in the original, but they make it out of there and meet up with Eric. The next morning, they arrive at Alexandria and do their interviews, with Dale's interview being very calm as he explains the awful things that have happened to the group, but that they were all still good people. One thing he says is that Rick has lost his way, and he thought this place would be best for him, as he needed to feel safe for once. Afterward, everyone would get jobs, with Dale offering to be a lookout at the watch posts, since that's what he's always been good at. However, Deanna would suggest that he be her advisor, as she could tell he had a strong moral compass and was a very passionate person. This offer would actually touch Dale's heart deeply, as he felt like his new ideology was going to make new waves, and so of course he would accept. Tyrese would be someone who goes on runs along with Tara, Noah, and Glenn, and when Aiden nearly gets Tara killed by trying to mess with a walker, Glenn would kill it, and they'd return to Alexandria. There, Tyrese would try to prevent the fight between Aiden and Glenn, and he would be the one to stop Nicholas from jumping Glenn instead of Daryl going crazy on him. Sasha wouldn't be doing her whole target practice thing and would instead just be chosen as a lookout, and I feel like Deanna's husband Reg and Dale would get along very well. This is because they're both older men trying to live life the best way they possibly can, and also trying to make a better life for all of their groups. I think Tyrese and Dale would be there to help Noah get into the party rather than Glenn and Maggie, since Noah has more of a bond with them so far. Another good thing to note is that Sasha wouldn't try to be on watch duty at night, and instead would have been convinced by Tyrese to go to the party. During which Carol would still try to steal the guns, but I think Dale would notice her leaving and would follow closely behind. When he catches her grabbing the guns, he makes his presence known by clearing his throat, and Carol looks behind her to see him. Dale tells Carol that he understands what she's doing, but that probably isn't the best thing to do. She responds that this is the safest way, and would bring up how he hid the guns from Shane before at the farm. Dale asks if Rick was in on it too, and she wouldn't answer, but that would make it obvious. He follows, telling her that this wasn't the right thing to do for Rick, since he needed to get used to living easier and trusting other people. If he doesn't, they're gonna have another Lori situation on their hands. After Dale says that, that's when Sam walks in, asking what's going on. Seeing her opportunity, Carol just grabs a couple guns and runs off. Dale would call for her, but it wouldn't be of use, she'd already be gone. Sam would then ask the old man if he was gonna tell on her, and he would say that he isn't sure. He's gonna have to talk to her first. The boy asks if she's a good person, and Dale would say yes, but that she just isn't used to living like this anymore. As Dale plans to leave with the boy, he asks how long they've been outside the walls, and Dale would say that it feels like it's been a very long time. Following this, Sam would question how he's able to live both inside and outside the walls so well, and Dale would say that you have to find the balance between being brave and ready to fight, and knowing when to relax. The boy takes this to heart, and Dale would tell him to come on while smiling. This interaction will significantly change Sam going forward in the series, as he isn't going to be threatened or traumatized by Carol. When Sasha has her big outburst, I think Tyrese would be there to try to talk to her afterward, and when Carol, Daryl, and Rick meet up outside the walls, Carol would tell him about what happened with Dale. Dale showing up only made her able to get a few guns, and I think that would coincide with Daryl asking if they really need them. He had been growing much more fond of this place due to his time with Aaron, and so he was more willing to put trust into it, and would even consider Dale to be right. Now the last scene of this episode would actually be pretty cool because it would show a direct parallel to another scene in the show. When Rick looks at Jesse and Pete and hovers his hand over his gun, he would turn around to see Dale standing there. The scene that this would be in reference to would be the one where Shane aims his gun at Rick in season 1 and Dale sees him. Rick would do a similar thing to what Shane did, kinda smiling at Dale and walking away, while Dale looks on in shock. In the next episode, Tyrese would be going on the run along with Glenn, Noah, Tara, Eugene, Nicholas, and Aiden, since there's enough room in the back. Aiden would still end up shooting a grenade on a walker, which would lead to him being stuck on a spike while more walkers pull up, and Tara would be unconscious. Seeing this, Eugene would try to protect her like originally, and going back to Alexandria, Carol would be threatening Sam to try and get her more chocolate, as he wanted her to make more cookies. Nicholas wouldn't be forced to help Glenn save Aiden since Tyrese was there and willing to do it. During this, Aiden would admit that they had left their crew behind and that they were cowards, and so he would ask to be left behind himself. And so this time, Glenn, Noah, and Tyrese would get caught in the rotating doors with Nicholas. Going back to Sam and Alexandria again, and Dale would see him trying to steal the chocolate. The old man would tell the boy that he must grow into a good man, and that doesn't involve stealing cookies. Because with great power comes... wait, no. Just because he can steal cookies doesn't mean he should. Sam would accept this and would ask Dale to teach him more things, to which Dale would be humbled. Going back to the situation at hand, Tyrese would be the one holding himself against the glass instead of Noah. So when Nicholas runs out, being the coward that he is, it leads to Tyrese instead being taken by the walkers. This does save Noah, but now he and Glenn have to witness this happen to Tyrese, who was just there to help people. After they managed to escape, Glenn would grab Nicholas and box him up, with Noah following behind him, clearly traumatized. He had grown a nice bond with Tyrese, so this brutal death in front of his face would be awful. Following the beatdown, they'd head back home, and Carol would never find out about Pete beating Jesse. Instead, Dale would learn about this. He's a very perceptive guy, since he managed to figure out Shane killed Otis with barely anything leading to that conclusion other than the way Shane carried himself. Gabriel then rats out the group to Deanna, saying that they were bad people, only for Maggie to hear this. Now, with the whole Pete situation, Dale would make sure not to go to Rick, since he knows exactly what will happen if Rick finds out. With Sasha, she would now be coping with Tyrese's death, putting her in a similar mental state to the original. And with Aiden's death and both Gabriel and Nicholas telling her these awful things, Deanna begins to doubt the group like she does in the original show. However, one good thing is that now Noah is an extra witness to what truly happened. Dale goes to Diana about what happened with Pete, and would be shocked to find that she knew and just hoped it would get better. He would suggest separating him from Jesse, but Deanna would question what would happen if he didn't want to do that. Dale wouldn't suggest killing, but he would say that there's more than enough people to prevent anyone from hurting anyone here. He manages to convince her, and she asks them to wait a bit longer to get this done, since she's not in a good mental state right now. Dale accepts this, and they would move on. Dale would try to talk to Jesse, and it would be much more civil. The old man would basically tell her that waiting for it to fix itself and trying to justify it is exactly what happens with victims like her. He says that he told Deanna and that they were going to try and separate them. Jesse wouldn't like this and would walk away, but Dale would head to the front of the house to tell her that Sam had asked for a gun to protect her. He basically has the same reasoning as Rick originally, and when Pete shows up, he threatens Dale, and Jesse stands up for him. Rick would be walking by the street when this is happening, and that's when the fight would begin. Pete lands a punch on Dale in the face, and Rick would charge into the house to solve the problem. This fight would go about the same, with Rick choking Pete on the ground. He pushes his son away though, and Deanna manages to call it off, leading to Rick pulling his gun. He begins explaining the new rules to everyone, and Michonne would then one-tap that man, leaving us in the perfect place to stop for this part. In the next one, we'll cover the season finale, which I have some really good ideas for, as well as hopefully most of season 6. With that though, I do hope you guys have enjoyed this part and found it entertaining, and if you did, be sure to like and subscribe to see this series continue. But as always, tell me if you liked this part, tell me what you think will happen next, comment your requests for future videos, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, have a great day.